as dramatic as its beginning. This is a story of a journey through a once closed society aboard the legendary Trans-Siberian Express. The story of a land and her people, now revealed from behind the thinning veil of the Iron Curtain. Theirs is a future that's uncertain. It's a challenge for Russians young and old. Join us aboard the Trans-Siberian as we explore what was once condemned as the evil empire. This is the longest and greatest train ride of them all, across a country only now beginning to open up and surrender her secrets.
ABC's World of Discovery, brought to you by AT&T. In long-distance services, information and network systems, telephones and computers, AT&T is the right choice.
This is one of the hottest bands in the Soviet Union, Brigada S. Headliners in a concert billed as a heavy metal meltdown for world peace. Only a short time ago, such an event would have been out of the question. Over 100,000 fans turned out to celebrate in the spirit of Glasnost. But the strong police presence is a reminder of the former times of repression. The guard still changes on the hour at Lenin's tomb in Red Square, though some say not for long. With food scarce and social problems growing, life is difficult for the average Soviet, yet there appears to be a new spirit in the people. Our journey across the new Soviet Union starts here at Yaroslav Station in central Moscow. People from all across the country pass through Yaroslav, from its many republics and hundreds of ethnic groups. Soviet trains carry 4.5 billion passengers a year. As well as serving travelers, the station is home to those with nowhere to go. Passengers boarding the Trans-Siberian for Vladivostok are about to lose their freedom for the next 7 days. More unsettling are the Provodniks. Trans-Siberian Express will rattle across the continent through 7 time zones, with only a few brief stops along the way. Called the Rossiya, after the great country it crosses, for over 70 years, Trans-Siberian locomotives have hurtled along a ribbon of iron, linking towns and cities across the vast expanses of Siberia. The Provodnik welcomes passengers with a cup of tea. It's important to stay on her good side. She is carriage commandant for the next 7 days. She keeps order, distributes bedding, maintains the toilets, and keeps the carriage warm in winter. Passengers should prepare themselves for basic compartments and the rather grim realization that a shower, hot or cold, is a week away. It took 25 years to complete the Trans-Siberian Railway. The first sod was turned in 1891, and work was finished in the last year of the Tsar's rule in 1916. While Britain colonized the world by sea, the Russians envisaged a steel and sleeper empire from Europe to the Pacific. Thousands of workers came to Siberia, building up to 2.5 miles of track a day. The railway network was the jewel in the crown of the Tsars. The early trains had restaurants, a library, and observation cars. Perhaps not as lavish as these scenes of the Tsar's own carriages, but early travelers praised the comfortable cabins and good food. The Trans-Siberian 7-day journey from Moscow in the west to Vladivostok on the Pacific coast in the east covers a distance of over 6,000 miles. Early in the journey, we passed Zagorsk, headquarters of the Russian Orthodox Church. After the revolution of 1917, the Soviet Union became an atheist state. Many of the finest churches in the country were destroyed. Bibles and icons thousands of years old were burned in an anti-religious fervor. Zagorsk, with its magnificent buildings and unique icons, survived. Today, new laws are in place which allow freedom of religious expression. Only the first night out and the longest train ride in the world quickly becomes the longest train ride in the world. For many passengers returning home to distant towns and cities, the romance of train travel quickly disappears as this little village on wheels snakes its way towards Siberia. Some let the miles slide by in the video lounge. In times past, Russians would stand and take their hats off when they crossed this river. It was a salute to the Mother Volga. The Volga, the longest river in Europe, is steeped in folklore. Villages like these have stood along the Volga for centuries, tiny outposts of ancient history. The elderly are left to carry on the old ways as the young people leave to find work in the cities. Nearly 2 days from Moscow, we reach the Ural Mountains, where the boundary between Europe and Asia is marked by an obelisk. When the exiles passed here on their way to the salt mines, they described it as passing beyond the Pillar of Tears. For those who travel on this train, Siberia is more than just a name. It's a last frontier, the new Texas, full of wealth, myth, and tragedy. This young girl is returning home to a village near the Arctic Circle. In the past, she could have looked forward to a Siberia of forests and rolling farmlands, but much of that heritage has been denied her. The words to this Russian song are hundreds of years old. Two young lovers are compared to the trees, the river, and the warmth of life in the village. This modern version has been reworked as an environmental protest song. The elements, earth, wind, and fire, have new meaning. The fire in the kitchen hearth has taken on a terrible dimension. Now, the song spells out a deeper wisdom than the people who sang the original words ever imagined. We are crossing Tyumenskaya Oblast. Tyumen is the capital of a region that produces more oil than Saudi Arabia. The Soviet Union exports over 750 million barrels of Siberian oil annually. But these riches have been squandered. Unchecked development has brought tragedy. This flame is literally money burning. Natural gas is burned off, leaving the atmosphere polluted with chemicals. Oil escapes from broken pipes buried underground. Huge forest fires break out. Lakes are filling with oil. The poor state of the economy offers no immediate solution. But with Glasnost, the Soviet people are now becoming aware of the threat to their environment.
It's evening, it's morning.
Are you guys up yet?
It's the middle of the day. However you call, AT&T Reach Out America has a calling plan that can save you money. Now, nobody has more ways to save on long distance. No matter who, where, or when you call, it's Reach Out America. with savings and quality anytime, any place. It's not just long distance. It's AT&T.
She's got legs. She knows how to move them. Sheer energy's legs. She knows how to use them. They're gonna move you.
Only sheer energy pantyhose can make you feel this good.
They're gonna soothe you. Sheer energy. She's got legs.
Annie, they said, let's talk about Pop Secret Light. Guys, I said, I wanted to save this conversation for my next cocktail party, but hey.
I love this stuff.
Then they tell me about this taste test where real people who eat popcorn picked Pop Secret Light as the best tasting light popcorn. Annie, they said, this is good news. I said, this is good popcorn.
Pop Secret Light. Perfect popcorn is our passion.
There are some things you just can't get enough of.
Come on, you guys, we're gonna be late.
So what? We're just gonna lose again anyway.
The Mazda MPV four-wheel drive can help you get just about anywhere you want to go.
Let's go home.
Its V6 engine and rear anti-lock brakes let you handle even the worst weather with confidence.
Face it, Mom, we stink.
Hey, where's that team spirit, huh?
Hey, Gail. The other team couldn't make it. You guys win by forfeit.
The Mazda MPV four-wheel drive.
It just feels right.
If the weather stays bad, we could take the title.
The Trans-Siberian regularly changes drivers and locomotives as it makes its way across the country. The Soviet Union's struggling economy has also affected the railways.
Well, look at this locomotive. Do you think it's normal? It should be written off ages ago. But it'll be on the track for another 20, 30 years. The repairs never end. But I do feel proud inside, driving this train, train number 1, to Russia.
Gypsies once crossed Siberia in wooden caravans. Now they travel on the Rossiya. There are over 200,000 gypsies in the Soviet Union. The ancestors of these people started wandering over 1,000 years ago. Nikolai is the leader of this group.
The scholars say ours is a dying race. They say we'll intermarry with Russians and others. But this is something in our blood. We'll never marry Russians or any others. I will marry a full-blood gypsy, and our children will be full-blooded gypsies. And one day we'll have an autonomous republic of our own as well.
The gypsies, along with many others, suffered badly at the hands of this man, Joseph Stalin. To achieve his grand plans, he jailed his enemies by the thousands, using them as convict labor. Millions were sent by train to Siberian labor camps. Ordinary people lived in fear. Innocents were convicted on trumped-up charges. Freedom of thought was smashed by the dictator's iron fist.
We didn't talk about Stalin. You only had to say the word Stalin.
and that was enough. You don't know those times. If you did know Stalin's times, you would still have fear inside you.
As a young man, Joseph Shelkovsky did speak out against Stalin. He was imprisoned here for 15 years. These are the ruins of a camp called Ishkatin. The prisoners were forced to quarry lime. The dust from the limestone burnt through their lungs. Thousands died. Joseph Shelkovsky and his wife Katerina must live with their memories.
Shelkovsky.
Shelkovsky, how much have you accomplished? Sir, 250%, sir. Go right through.
Petrovsky.
Then you'd say, Petrovsky, how much have you accomplished? Sir, how can you talk about accomplishments when people can hardly stand? And they shot him right between the eyes. Bang, 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 and he's dead.
The exact figure is uncertain, but it is estimated that over 20 million people died as a result of Stalin's purges. The country still suffers today from the talent squandered in those years. Oksana and Christina are heading to Novosibirsk to start the new term at the city's famous ballet school.
The competition is very strong. There is competition in our class, but it's kind competition. We keep level with each other. But on the stage, it will be different.
We are nearly halfway across Siberia, over 2,000 miles from Moscow. Novosibirsk is Siberia's largest city. Its workers are mostly employed in the steel and chemical industries. But there is more to this city than heavy industry. Novosibirsk offers a world-class ballet school. The school has 120 students attending a 6-year course and is one of the best in the Soviet Union. Oksana is 16 and in her final year.
Yes, it's a good school. People that graduate from here get good professional grounding. They are ready for the big stage. They prepare many good graduates here. We travel to festivals and to competitions. It develops your worldview. The benefits are for the rest of your life. You don't just see pictures. You see it with your own eyes and come to your own conclusions. We have a very interesting life. I think I should make it. I really hope I do. If you are tough on yourself and persistent, be obstinate even, then I'm sure I can do everything I want to. Basically, if a person really wants something, they'll do it.
Leaving Novosibirsk, we continue on towards the Pacific coast and the once forbidden city of Vladivostok. Fresh food in the Soviet Union is in short supply, and on the Rossiya, the food is basic but filling, mostly stew and bowls of borscht. On some sections of the journey, there are two dining cars, one for Soviet citizens and the other for tourists. This anachronism stems from the time when locals had limited access to foreigners. Women are the backbone of the Soviet workforce. On the railways, they do much of the heavy, dirty work, often laboring in gangs maintaining the tracks. The male population was decimated during Stalin's purges in World War II, and today women outnumber men by more than 20 million. Larissa Lanzhuk is 22 years old and has been working as a track fitter since she was 17.
We work with diesel oil. Scrape the railway points. Our sleeves are soiled, our pants are filthy. We stand in the queue in the dining room and we're all dirty. Everybody keeps away from you. They push you away.
Larissa was forced to go out to work when her son Andrei was born.
Obviously, I'm not the only one. Now I think it's every second woman. That's how we do it here. Have a baby at 16, quit school and go to work. At 16.
In a society with virtually no sex education and where the average woman has as many as 7 abortions in her lifetime, change is long overdue. Life is changing for some women. They're embracing a gentler, more traditional role, escaping heavy manual labor to become homemakers.
Get away from it all in the new Explorer from Ford. If you're looking for 4 doors and more interior room than any vehicle in its class, if you want 4-liter power and push-button 4-wheel drive in the best-selling vehicle in its class, if the only thing you want to leave behind is the city, your Explorer is ready.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
The day may come when all dishwashers will get your dishes sparkling clean and run quietly enough to let you talk on the phone. But isn't it nice to know Whirlpool Quiet Wash dishwashers will do it today?
Can you imagine winter without Campbell's chicken noodle soup with real chicken, real egg noodles, and real broth? Campbell's comes straight from the pot, not a powder. Campbell's real chicken noodle soup. Real chicken, real broth, real good.
No little cinnamon gum freshens breath longer than Big Red.
So kiss a little longer, stay close a little longer, hold tight a little longer, longer with Big Red. That Big Red freshness lasts right through it. Your fresh breath goes on and on. While you chew it, say goodbye a little longer, make it last a little longer. Give your breath long-lasting freshness with Big Red.
ABC's World of Discovery will continue in a moment. Hang on tight for all new side-splitting hilarity and horsing around. It's double the giggles, if you can stomach it, on America's Funniest Home Videos. Next, then, it's the original Indiana Jones adventure. Harrison Ford and Karen Allen in Raiders of the Lost Ark, tonight at a special time.
Well, I'm going out west down on the coast, 'cause the Disneyland thrills are really the most. To the beach and the sand, feel the magic, Disneyland. Take a roll, take a ride, to a place that's all right. Disneyland is the heart of the fun, in the warm California sun.
Day and night. Stay with the experience of ABC News and the Como News 14. Stay with the only Seattle news team at the Gulf Watch desk.
Computer here is saying that it looks like missiles are now coming in on
24 hours a day, from around the world and here at home. Committed to bringing you the best. Stay with ABC News and Como News 4.
The man who put Charles Manson behind bars joins us Monday.
The Trans-Siberian Express has reached Irkutsk, a city with a rich cultural history. These houses date back to early last century, when gold fever broke out, and Irkutsk took on the look of a Wild West town. Irkutsk began as a stopover for caravans bringing tea from China to Europe, and later became known as the Paris of Siberia. The city is most famous for the Decembrists, a group of aristocrats exiled here for attempting to overthrow the Tsar. These humanists brought education and European culture to the wilds of Siberia. Near Irkutsk is Lake Baikal, a Soviet treasure and one of the world's most spectacular lakes. Moscow lies 3,500 miles behind us. Ahead lies the frozen landscape of an eastern Siberian winter as we continue our journey on to Vladivostok. The Trans-Siberian is cutting through one of the coldest ends of the Earth. Here, it's 20 below zero. Half a day's journey from Lake Baikal is Lake Kotokel. Here, horses are used for traditional ice fishing. Under this vast sheet of ice hangs over 2,000 feet of net in an arc across the lake. The ends of the net are drawn together, and it's hauled out of a hole cut 1,500 feet from where the net first entered the water. The fish is called chabak, Some days, they'll catch more than a ton, most of which will be shipped to Moscow. The Trans-Siberian is now 5 days from Moscow, having passed through 6 time zones. Vladivostok is still 2,500 miles away. We are heading into Zabakalya, meaning the land beyond the lake. It's home to a large ethnic minority known as the Buryat. Originally of Mongolian descent, the Buryat can trace their ancestry back to Genghis Khan. Today, they have large farmlands. In the winter months, their sheep are kept out of the cold, while their horses run wild until spring. After the revolution, the Buryat farmed on collectives, while their traditional skills remained below the surface.
Раньше мы были забиты, может быть, потому что именно сверху на нас, может быть, давили.
Well, in the past we were oppressed because they pressured us from the top. And with perestroika, well, democracy gives us glassness, and we all express our opinion as we wish.
Нашего села, и вот не считаясь даже вот со временем.
That's why I think that people should rise themselves to preserve the national flavor of our village, rise their culture and their ancient customs. That's why our national Buryat traditions will survive.
The marrow, the choicest part of the sheep, is left for someone special. Just to the south of here lies China. Defense in this part of the Soviet Union has always been vital. There are many army bases between here and the Far East. "36-year-old Major Alexander Rogovoy comes from a military family. His father and grandfather were both soldiers. He is a regiment commander at a base situated on the Trans-Siberian, less than 70 miles from the Chinese border. Cutbacks to Soviet military spending have seen his troops reduced from 2,000 to 200 soldiers.
The actual quantity doesn't determine the army's fighting efficiency. In other words, the time is long gone when you could win a battle with numbers. Now, the human being is still the main factor, but it's a human being with technology.
Командир роты капитан Ярошенко. Здравствуйте, товарищи! Направо! На учебные места бегом! Марш!
Before, as the West had distorted information about us, so did we about the West. And now the thinking has changed and we learn more. Now that the borders have opened up, people relate to each other. Everything's changing.
Many of these changes can be attributed to the Soviet Union's disastrous involvement in the war in Afghanistan.
This war was a mistake, and indeed, the war was illegal. Now, this issue has been basically settled, but of course, it's left an imprint. Mostly, it's left a mark on those who took part in the war.
These young men fought in Afghanistan. Like some of their counterparts in the West who served in Vietnam, they still suffer the psychological scars of war.
I began to really hate. I began wanting to do the same as what they were doing to us. They were killing us. And I think every soldier had it who just come in and saw first blood. Then it was blood for blood. It was the only way.
Like many Vietnam veterans, some feel rejected by their country. But the government does help by providing rehabilitation.
I can't say that we won, and I can't say that we lost. It's a lesson.
When I play tennis, I like wearing white, but not under my arm. Look, this leading solid leaves a white, flaky mess. But now there's a new non-whitening sports solid. New Arid Sport Scent.
Arid Sport Scent is the only leading sport solid that never turns white or messy.
So get Arid solid protection against wetness and odor and get a little closer.
New non-whitening Arid Sport Scent. Solid protection without the white mess.
Ever feel too clumsy some mornings to make a pot of coffee? Wake up to Maxwell House filter packs. Coffee blended with Colombian beans. Pre-measured in their own filters. Because better beans do make better coffee. No fumbling, no bumbling. You get a perfect pot every time. Maxwell House filter packs blended with Colombian beans. Because better beans make better coffee.
It's called Drixoral. A powerful 12-hour cold medicine that at one time you couldn't buy without a prescription. Today, you can. 12-hour prescription-strength Drixoral. It works just as hard against colds as it always did, to relieve the misery of congestion, sneezing, and runny nose. For 12 full hours of prescription-strength relief, Drixoral is all you need to know.
Listerine kills germs. It hits plaque above the gum line. Listerine battles the gum disease, gingivitis, in big fight tonight. It's a right. And another right. Listerine's really rocked him. It's over. The winner. Listerine Antiseptic. It says what it does. It does what it says.
East to the city of Chita, built on the banks of the Chitinka River. It's a hard life here, but the pride that people feel for their country is mirrored by the local railway workers' choir as they sing of their beloved Russia. Our provodnik, Ludmila, has a constant round of chores to attend to, especially during winter. She used to work in the building industry. Now she leaves her husband behind in Moscow to travel on the Rossiya. Like many people her age, Ludmila has a fondness for the old days, the days of Stalin.
There was more order in the country. His fault, as they say, was there were many repressions. Many repressions. That was the only thing. But we had order in the country, yes. And we could buy everything in the shops. But at the moment, it's very difficult. The country's in decline. Time will tell. With time, we'll see. It's hard to know now what will happen in the country.
We have reached the Far East and the city of Khabarovsk, nearly 5,500 miles from Moscow. Khabarovsk was once a fur trading center. Now, its population of 600,000 welcome people with a warmth and spirit not seen in the large cities on the other side of the country. Members of this hang gliding club in their homemade craft soar high above the banks of the Amur River. From here they have a view down across China, away in the distance. We have reached the Pacific Ocean. The Trans-Siberian 7-day journey across the Soviet Union will soon come to an end. After traveling over 6,000 miles, there is a sense of satisfaction, even relief, in reaching the ocean at last. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. There's a sense of expectation. Few foreigners have ever received a warm welcome in Vladivostok, because officially, this has been a closed city. Authorities were nervous about outsiders watching the comings and goings of the warships, which make up the Pacific Fleet, the largest in the Soviet Navy. The last day of the year. The sun is out. Vladivostok has the relaxed charm of a harbor city. Over 100 years ago, the city was founded by the Tsar as an outpost of the Russian Empire. Vladivostok is a fitting name for such a city. It means, rule the East. Tonight is New Year's Eve, the festive occasion of the year. Since the Soviet people don't celebrate Christmas Day, they have New Year's Eve to kick up their heels. Vladivostok is a city dominated, like all others, by the Communist Party and its officials. We have traveled across this immense country and seen an empire on the brink of the unknown, a society facing huge problems, not the least of which is simply feeding its people. Could this be the last party for the old guard and their contemporaries? Is this the last waltz for communism? Back in the square, people keep arriving as the temperature drops to -20. Although the champagne isn't open till midnight, things are hotting up. No matter what the hardships and political uncertainties, Russians love to party. The new year is a time for resolutions, to look ahead. But there is no clear vision of the Soviet Union's future. Perhaps the greatest revolution may be taking place right at this moment.
Hey, gorgeous.
Oh, come on.
Ounce for ounce, can you mix a bowl of cereal with more vitamin and mineral nutrition than Total?
Sure I can. Sure I can.